So I don't really know what to say on this situation because it has all just come to light in the last 2 days or so, and people are already quote unquote bandwagoning over it because I've seen tons of videos, some poorly made, some really well made, but I wanted to get my thoughts out on this. This is a serious video, if you could tell from the title. I'm sure you already know this situation, so you already know it's a serious video. So I'm not gonna be using any talk sprites because first off, I don't have any, and second off, it's a serious video, and I don't think it deserves much talk spritey action. So I'll just have the same image the whole video. But so if you all know, Spoctor Theory has recently been exposed for doing a lot of horrible things, and they are all not okay. And the thing is with me, he used to be a ranter I looked up to that I wanted to be like, and I was really shocked when this all came out, even though I had stopped watching him, because after the whole video stuff with Yo-Yo and Simply Dad, I kind of just stopped watching every ranter I knew, because I realized that ranting, like ranters in general, aren't made out, or like aren't as good of people as they're made out to be. So I just kind of stopped watching his videos, which has been like a month maybe since that video came out, maybe more, and that situation just kind of died down. But I've stopped watching Spoctor Theory since then, and yet I was still super, super surprised to see this happen. So, getting into the actual points now, one of the first things he did is he sent nudes to people who he didn't want them. So, I don't have any of the screenshots myself because obviously I'm not in contact with anybody who was directly affected by Spoctor Theory. And if you guys do want to see the screenshots, please go check out Atari's video, Pentagrin's video. I pulled most of my points from those two videos, but I'm just giving my own thoughts on them. So if you do want to see the screenshots, please go check out their videos. I will leave the links in the description. But he sent nudes to people who didn't want them. The people he sent them to explicitly said beforehand that they did not want the nudes sent to them, yet Spoctor Theory still sent them anyways. He did say some bad things to his ex that were sexual in nature, his ex told him that they were uncomfortable with what he was saying and that they didn't want him to say those things, yet he still continued to say them, saying something along the lines of, if you date me long enough, you'll get used to me saying and doing these things. That's something along those lines. And that's not okay because this is sexual assault, just not physically. Saying sexual things to people is not okay. It can make people super uncomfortable, and it does count as a crime, sexual assault, whether it be physical or not. There was a 13-year-old, there are like two different 13-year-olds that are significantly involved in this, but one of them apparently at one point was venting to him for some reason or another. I'm not sure on those details, but they were venting to Spoctor, and he replied with something along the lines of telling them to go touch themselves. And if this person was over the age of like 18 and they were adult, yes, it'd be weird, but it wouldn't be like overly bad because like they're 18, but this person, he told this person to go touch themselves, but they are only 13 years old. 13-year-olds, their bodies are pretty much just developing, and they don't need to know anything about sex or sexually touching themselves. The most they need to know about sex is safe sex and how like stuff works from like their health class at school. they don't need to be touching themselves. They're not at that advanced stage in life. They don't need to be involved in sexual activities. They are too young for those kinds of things, and they don't understand what those things actually are and what the consequences of those things could be. So telling a 13-year-old to touch themselves is really scummy. I don't see why you could do that. And here's one of the bigger things that I was really upset with, because this has some legal ramifications as well. He wanted a 13-year-old... This ties into a later point, but he wanted a 13-year-old, another one, to draw NSFW work of him and his ex, despite the said 13-year-old saying they are uncomfortable with doing so. And tying into that, he held a contest for people to draw NSFW art of his character, despite him actually being a minor at the time. From what I've heard, when he asked for this contest, he was around 17. So he is under the age of 18. In the United States, he is a minor, and therefore, him asking for NSFW work to be sent to him for this contest, he is putting these artists in a very bad situation, because they are sending him NSFW art, so they are distributing explicit material to a minor, and that is illegal, and people can get in serious trouble for that. Distributing porn or explicit content to minors kind of goes along with the thing that I said earlier about him telling a 13-year-old to touch themselves. These kids are too young. A lot of them are too young to understand what sexual things are, and they don't know what could happen. A lot of them don't know laws, so them drawing NSFW art, like I said, puts them in a bad situation, because they could get fined, arrested. I don't know the consequences of this. I just know it is illegal, and it is a very bad thing to do, because Spoctor being a minor is what makes it illegal. Had he been 18, it would have been fine, because he's an adult. But even being just 1 year under the age that he needs to be an adult, 17 years old, he's still a minor, so even being that close to the age of being an adult, it still makes it illegal, because legally he is still a minor. So sending porn or NSFW art to a contest he opened was having the artists be putting themselves unknowingly in a bad situation. And this makes it worse, because he didn't disclose this to anyone. He didn't disclose his age. They didn't let them know. He didn't let them know what his age was, so they didn't know if he was the age where he was okay. It would be okay to send this. And so they didn't know that they don't know that they're jeopardizing themselves. They didn't know they were jeopardizing their record, because they didn't know his age. They didn't know if it was safe. But they still did it anyways, probably to please him, because he is a very popular ranter who has a lot of subscribers. Last I checked, he had 60, 70,000, but I'm not sure anymore on that, so don't quote me on that. And I don't get this. It's really scummy to jeopardize other people and their records and their lives just because you want porn of your own character. Another point that Atari brought up in her video that I also thought I needed to address with my own thought is he doesn't pay his artist who made him his talk sprites. From what I heard in her video, Atari's video, she said that he doesn't pay his artist for his talk sprites, and that her payment, or the artist's payment, I don't know the gender, but they didn't get paid, and that their actual payment was exposure. And to me, I feel like to some extent exposure could be a good payment, but it depends on how much work you're doing. But for talk sprites, I don't think exposure is enough payment. You need to actually pay them money. If they give them to you for free, then you don't have to pay them. But if they're asking for payment, and you're asking them to make you these talk sprites, then you need to pay them, because they're probably not going to just do a whole bunch of this stuff for free, because that is wasting their time doing stuff for free, when honestly they probably need to be paid for that. Exposure isn't really a good form of payment all the time, because it might not always work because you never know who's going to follow through with their word of exposing you, but, like, exposure. Really, exposure. What if somebody does art for their livelihood and that's how they make their income and their money? The exposure's not going to do anything. They could need money to live, to pay bills, to get food, to get the things they need to survive. You never know their situation. So if they ask for money, then you need to give them the money they asked for. And if not, they don't get to give you their sprites that they made for you. You need to pay them if they ask for the money, and do not just agree on exposure. Now, this next point, I kind of wanted to save for last because I'm probably going to go off on a tangent. People are saying that he's transphobic, which I can understand why. Because his ex had the they-them pronouns on his profile, which he willfully ignored and started to call this person it after a while. Now, I could make a whole separate video on my thoughts on transgender people and, like, transgenderism, I guess, as a whole. But, let me just say this. And actually, let me clarify before I say this, that I am not endorsing this action or any actions by Spoctor Theory, but I just wanted to say my honest thoughts on this opinion. Willfully or not, using the wrong word, like not using a pronoun, like a preferred pronoun, just so you're basically using a wrong word if you willfully don't use a pronoun. Using a wrong word should not be a big deal. I feel like people are criticizing him too much for not using the they-them pronouns for his ex, but where it kind of gets into a little bit, maybe he wasn't doing okay in this situation, was when he started calling them it. And if you're calling someone an it, I feel like that just reduces them to an object, because you refer to, like, inanimate objects such as a stuffed animal, a figurine, a cup, like a pencil as it. You say, could you pick that up for me? Or, like, I don't know. Or could you go pick it up for me? Like, referring to maybe you need somebody to go pick something up from the store and you can go pick that up for me. Go pick it up for me. It refers to an object. So if you're calling a person it, you're referring to them as an object, not necessarily as a human being. So if he was willfully using the wrong pronoun, but not calling the person it at first, then there's no problem with that in my eyes. It may be a little bit rude to some people, but maybe he has different views, like conservative views or something, where he uses the pronouns of their birth, their gender they had when they were born and that they still will always have, or something along those lines. But using the wrong word is not a bad thing until he starts calling them it, in which they are referring to that person as an object, essentially. And that, I don't feel, is an okay thing to do, because you don't want to feel like you're reduced to an object. You want to feel like you're an actual human being who has meaning to someone. So all in all, I don't think he is totally transphobic, maybe a little bit, but if you want me to clarify my thoughts on transgenderism, transphobia, or whatever, if you want me to clarify my thoughts on that in a separate video, please do let me know in the comments section below, and I will see what I can do on a video. Anyways, that's all the real points I have. I know it was jumbled and I stumbled over my words a lot, but I don't have a script. I don't like using scripts all the time. I usually like more to write out a few points on a Google Doc, like however many points I need to make, and then just kind of fill in my thoughts on those points. So if this sounded a little cluttered and, like, incoherent, or I guess, or just kind of all over the place, then that's probably why, and I just wanted to apologize for that. But if you want to see Atari or Pentagrin's videos, I will link those in the description. As I said, they are far better than mine. They go more in depth, especially Atari's, and they have screenshots that prove all the things that they are saying and that I have mentioned in this video. And like I said, if you want me to go into go deeper into my thoughts on transgenderism, transphobia in a separate video, please do tell me in the comment section below. And if you do have any other video ideas you'd like me to make, then please do leave those in the comments section below, and I will see what I can do. Anyways, guys, I hope you like this video. Please do subscribe if you want to see more content, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Goodbye.